Hello everyone, this is Ashish. Welcome back to the podcast. Today we are stuffed with good amount of topics. Some of it has been carried over from the last podcast because of the unscripted nature and us taking a deep dive in any particular topic. A lot of times we are able to discuss only one or two topics. So in this one also we are going to follow the same system. However, we are going to take some of the topics that you might find interesting. Number one, overcrowded internet platforms. And these platforms are overcrowded with information. At some point of time, the information was good. You are able to know something that you would have never found out if there was no internet. You would be hitting the books in the library or making a lot of mistakes, failing at what you were wanting to do, understanding that, oh, the mistakes that I made 6 months ago caused an ultimate failure to whatever I was trying to do. Whether it is starting a business, cracking an examination, getting a degree in some educational field, or maybe developing your social media career, whatever. But now that you have so much information, you do not need to fail on your own. Mostly because, see, by inherent nature of how our brain is designed, we do not like to fail. Failing is kind of something that we want to avoid as much as possible. Nobody is going to say, oh, I want to do this, but I would like to fail 5 times before I get that. Nobody wants that. Everybody will be so optimistic that I'm going to achieve it, whatever I'm trying to do, without failing. And for that, they look for suggestions, they look for opinions, they look for people who are qualified. They ask them what I should do, what mistakes you made. That's all well and good. You want to fail as less as possible. But ultimately, if you are trying to do anything, you are going to fail. That's like one of the 5 steps of achieving anything that you wanted to achieve. Maybe I'm going to spend some time talking about that pretty soon in this podcast. We'll see. Depends on you as well. Comment it down in the comment section if I forget, because that's something that I do every now and then. But failing is like a necessary part of whatever you want to do. But we also hate failing. So there's a collision between these two ideas. Because we hate failing so much, we keep on listening to other people, what I should do, what I should not do. And in doing that, we never move. And that's the main problem of the social media information base, or the bunch of social media influencers that are out there. And a lot of them genuinely want to help you. A lot of them are having good enough qualifications and accomplishments that you need, like I said. But because there are so many of them, you are confused. Now, I know this because a lot of young people, through consultancy and stuff like that, they talk to me and they bring this problem that I wanted to do this. Let us say I wanted to build a career in data science. I found a YouTube channel. The guy tells me what I should do, how I should proceed. And I see, okay, in 6 months, I'll be having a stable income through this. And then I start to do that. And 2 weeks later, I watch a video on how to crack a competitive examination to get a government job. And I think that that guy makes more sense. Now, you know why that happens? Because 2 weeks ago, when you started to build a career in data science, you were only thinking about the positives. All right, I'll get this, I'll get a good income, it's a good way, it's a booming career, so I'm going to get all the positives. But 2 weeks later, you started to understand the hurdles of the way. This has always been there. There has never been a time where you wanted to do something and there was no hurdle along the way. Just like there has never been a time where you wanted to do something and there was no failure along the way. But now, the moment you start finding it difficult, there's someone else saying that, oh, actually cracking this government job is very easy. And then you start thinking about how I'm going to do that. And then 2 weeks later, you find the hurdles in that path as well. And then you look how to make quick money online, how to run an online course, how to run ads. And then you go over there. And 2 weeks later, you find that difficult as well. But then there's a fourth person telling you that this is easier. So You get the point. Everything is easy because there's so much information. Everything is possible because there's so much information. But no social media influencer, not even the undefeated internet, is going to make any journey that you pick without any hurdles, or we are later going to discuss, without any failures. You can get the best source of information. And it's not like earlier there was not, the source of information was not present. People used to search for other people who were working in that domain. They used to use their relatives, relations, friends of friends to find those people and talk to them. I still remember back in 2016, you would not find that much information in cracking competitive examination. So my father used to know another guy whose son had cracked a competitive examination 1 year ago. I never talked to that guy before, but we connected and he said that these were my experiences. So it's not like information was not present earlier. It's just that it was not as easy as it is right now. Right now, you can just book a telephonic consultancy with a guy who has cracked gate examination with an all India rank under 100 if you want to crack that examination. So that's possible right now. Look, they're good and bad with everything. So if you're taking the good, it's more important to eliminate the bad out of it, especially when it is free, especially when you're looking for information on YouTube, because free comes with its own cost, right? If you are not paying with your money, then you are paying with your time, filtering that information. Because everyone over here on the online platform is running a business. They're here for a reason. They want to grow their social media presence, or they want to create their business, they want to create a stream of income. They're all here for a reason. And so are you. You're here for a reason as well. You are here for a reason to get good amount of knowledge and information to improve your own life. So think about that when you're watching a YouTube video. And then once you got the information, understand the phases of trying to achieve anything that you want to achieve. Now, when I say anything that you want to achieve, anything that you really, really want to achieve, that you want to achieve, not influenced by your friends, not influenced by your parents, what you really want. And you pick anything, you know that there's a benefit, you're optimistic, good. If you do not think there's a benefit, if you are not optimistic, if you do not think that you can achieve it, you're not going to take a step towards any direction. That's good. But the problem with us human beings is that, and I'm included in that, and every time I want to accomplish something, I go towards that, and like 4 months into, I'm frustrated, and why I'm facing these many difficulties, I have to be reminded that why did you not think about this before you chose to move in this direction? Because that's extremely important as well. When you choose the positives of a goal that you want to accomplish, you should also choose the hurdles that are going to come along the way. And these hurdles brings real learnings. You can have the best teacher on the planet who has done exactly what you want to do, is super kind and talks to you personally and teaches you everything that he or she has learned. It is still not going to be as good as a learning as compared to if you failed, if you faced the hurdles and you learned on spot in first person perspective. So that's important. There's a value to it. You see, anybody who has done anything that they wanted to do, let us say you talk to a gold medalist in Olympics, judo, let us say, just taking an example, and you talk to that person. And I know this because I've talked to a lot of well accomplished people on this podcast itself. If you start going through it, you will see the same tale. When you talk to them, they're going to say that all the failures, all the hurdles, all the times that I wanted to quit was actually preparing me to win this gold medal. That's what all of them are going to say. So how come you're trying to eliminate all of those hurdles and failures? How do you think that is going to work out? Because the failure is a very important ingredient of success. Hurdles are a very important ingredient of achieving anything. That's important. So you cannot run away from that. You cannot ignore that. You cannot be frustrated when you're facing that. And Also, you should remember that this is the very reason that most people are not able to go past this point. Most people are not able to achieve what I want to achieve. Nobody wants to achieve something that anyone can. There's no value in that. There's no happiness in that. There's no beauty in that. So people should start to acknowledge this aspect of a pursuit towards anything, the hurdles and the failures. It is inevitably going to happen. You never think about that. Like nobody, when I was preparing for ISRO examination, I would have never said, oh, I'm going to fail 2 times, but third time I'm going to make it. No, I wanted to make it in the first time. But when I was giving the examination the third attempt, I did not make the mistakes that I made in the first 2 attempts, because I failed in the first 2 attempts. And that is important. See, a lot of people also think about this, that I'm not capable of achieving this, or they start to compare themselves with people around them, or people who they consider more talented, who they consider more hardworking maybe, and say that that person is capable of doing that, I am not. I'm like, no shit, you are not capable of doing that. If you were capable of doing that, you would have done that right now, right? But that does not mean that you cannot do it. See, the capability part is something that has to be developed. It is not something that you are born with. You have to construct that. Whatever you want to achieve, well, if another human being can do it, you can do it as well. And a lot of times, even if another human being cannot do it, you still can do it. A lot of things in this world has been done for the first time. Like imagine Neil Armstrong saying that, hey, nobody else has landed on the moon, so probably I won't be able to do it, right? So the capability part, these are very, very simple concepts, but I cannot explain how many times kids come to me and tell me that, do you think I'll be able to crack this examination? Do you think I'll be able to start this company and make it successful? Do you think that I'll be able to get a PhD? You have to build that capability, right? So why are you asking questions? Why are you running away from building something? Because you're running away from hurdles, because you're running away from those frustrated moments, you're running away from failures. These are all some things that we hate, but we should not. Why would you hate these things? Because ultimately these things are going to make you capable of what you want to do. Simple as that. So you have to move forward, accept the challenges. Every time you want to quit, remember that this is why most people cannot do it, and keep on moving forward in that direction to build that capability. That is what, like, a lot of people talk about these, like, I was born with this talent, or I am the second generation this, my father was good in that, so I'm naturally good in that. It does not really work like that. There's nothing that you're born with. We grow up with a lot of stuff, and our environment do influence us to be better in some things and less good at others. But ultimately, if our environment has made us who we are right now, that means that we are very flexible and we can change and we can grow and learn anything that we want. Like if I can throw tornado kicks today and I can do taekwondo kicks today, it's not like I was born with the talent to do that. I did the drills, so I can do that right now. So the only thing that you have to understand is that human body and brain is very adaptive. It is very malleable. It can learn whatever you throw at it. If you're having a sound mind, that is going to happen. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to learn, it can learn. You know, human genetics first found in the equatorial region, Africa, and then it somehow found out way to survive in coldest places like Norway. Think about how adaptive human beings are. The only thing is that you can learn anything, but the problem is that when you try to learn anything, there are like restrictions, resistances, and most people do not want to pass that barrier. The change. So if you want to learn anything, you will have to change, right? You changed from a person who did not know how to throw tornado kicks and became a person who now can throw tornado kicks. So you changed as a person, but this change comes with enormous amount of resistance, and that is what I mostly talk about, the inertia of life, that this world, this universe does not like you to change. It wants you to be where you are. Think of it like you are a puzzle piece and you move from that place is vacant now. Who's going to replace you now? So the inherent nature of the universe wants you to be where you are, be like where you are. If you are an introvert, wants you to stay as an introvert. If you're physically weak, wants you to stay physically weak. If you are born with like a person who is born with, let us say, mesomorphic genetics, wants that person to be like that. But at the same time, this is the fun part about life in general, that you can be whoever you want to be. It's just that it causes a lot of restriction along the way. So that possibility is something that is fun, right? Right now you can think about, okay, I want to be this kind of person, and nobody in this world can say you impossible. Like, a lot of people will even say that, but nobody will say, oh, here's a 2 million contract, and I can say for sure you can never do that. Nobody will be able to do that, because you have seen like obese people turning into guys with those ripped abs, right? Like, take the example of David Goggins. Look at the abs of that man right now and look at his pictures from, like, I think 20 years in the past or something. You'll understand what a person can achieve. But for sure, this is what he's going to say as well. He has said this multiple times, that there's an enormous amount of resistance to change. And that resistance, we have to, at some point or the other, learn to embrace. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes to eat shit. Nobody likes those bitter medicines, but it's part of the process. And like, because of these ups and downs, because of these downs, you like those ups so much more. So you will have to accept and embrace the difficulties and hurdles along the way. My God, did I talk about it for way too long? What was the point originally? I don't even remember. Like I said, and that's the beauty of Art Podcast. Now, I forgot about this. Shit, it really went into a completely different direction. I wanted to talk about the social media detox. Now, what was the whole point of it? You took information and then you are done taking information, man. You have to understand. And there's so many things related, like, how do I make a decision that I want to proceed into a career of, what was the example? What was that? Machine learning? Let's say I want to take my career in the direction of machine learning, when 2 days later I'm watching a YouTube video telling me that I can make much more money on social media platforms, or another day I'm watching a YouTube video which is showing me that I can develop a great career. If I crack this competitive examination, I will be paid, I'll be having job security, I won't have to worry about getting fired. So how do I make the decision between these three? And then again, the concept of decision making comes, that I have talked about at some point or the other for sure, that no decision is correct, no decision is wrong. You have to just pick one. You do not like pick a correct decision. You pick a path and then you make that decision correct. It's as simple as that. That's again, that is why people ask questions like, will I be able to do this? Dude, nobody knows. Whether you'll be able to do it or you will be not able to do it depends completely on what you do after you make the decision that I want to do this. So how is anybody going to know? Whether that decision is correct or wrong does not depend on the event of you taking that decision. It entirely depends on what you do after. Got it? So see, this social media detox and why people are trapped in taking information from YouTubers or podcasters is so complicated. They do not understand what they should decide. what direction they should go. So they keep on consuming these content which is talking about this is right, this is wrong, this is what I did, this is what he. But anybody who did anything just took a decision, stuck to it, kept on moving on it for months and sometimes years to make that decision right, faced hurdles, faced failures, overcame that, kept on moving because they knew that it was difficult. These are the points where a lot of people give up. That is why a lot of people cannot do it. So I have to keep on going. So why are you just keeping on listening to other people? Which is what you're doing right now as well. You're listening to me, which is kind of a conundrum. But hopefully after this, you'll be able to pick a direction and keep on moving, because that's the whole point of my podcast, to help you ease up your mind, clear up your mentality, and be more productive as a person. So I guess the whole point of this is that take information, all right? If you have chosen a particular path, know as much as you possibly can to proceed better in that career. Listen to all the accomplished people, but do not do this jockeying effect or switching and not focusing on anything, because I've seen people literally losing years and not fixating at anything, and like 5 years have passed and now that time is gone, and I did 10 different things and none of them worked out. Because it's simple. This is the tale as old as time, that you can go 100 years in the past and whoever made anything happen did the same thing, stuck to it, right? And social media should be like one part of it. I'm following a set of people who are guiding and teaching about the career in which I want to grow, which is a productive thing to do. And everything else should be like just entertainment. Everything else that you're doing is just entertainment. Now you decide how much time you want to put in entertainment. But while preparing for gate examination, following people who are guiding in that examination domain, do not watch people who are also teaching how to grow on social media and think that I'm doing something very productive, all right? Because that's just entertainment. At least for now. Maybe 2 years later, when you are done what you wanted to do with competitive examination, this is what you want to do. But at least for now, it's just entertainment. At least you should know that. Once you know that, you know how to cut it out when you need to. Okay, now I wanted to talk about the second topic in the last podcast, but ran out of time as always. So we are going to talk about this. Your boy over here is a very open-minded person. So your comments, opinions, suggestions are going to be accepted with open arms down in the comment section. So if you are interested to share your opinions, people have written paragraphs before as well. I read them all 100%. Even if you call me idiot, mindless or something like that, I'm still going to read it. I'm even going to publish it on my community if you really make sense. So feel free to do that. And since we are talking about stuff not related to what we are discussing right now, we have also started a Hindi podcast. We meaning I. I'm having problems with split personality disorder, but I say we because I've got a team managing the podcast. It's just me you're seeing as the face of the podcast, but there are a lot of people working together to make this happen. Okay. So Hindi podcast, completely different YouTube channel. Links will be down in the description box. And a lot of interesting guests coming up. I hope that you enjoyed the last podcast with Aditya talking about cybersecurity. And there are more and more interesting people coming up. But every now and then your boy is going to be alone over here talking to you personally, because I know you love it. I know it. All right. So let's get into the next topic. That is, never have relationships at workplace or classroom. And most of you guys are like, oh, that means that I should never have relationships. because most of you guys are just looking for a mate at your workplace or your college classrooms or your school classrooms, right? Now, majority of you guys who are doing that have always been single. Honestly, that might be bitter to you, but that's what is happening, because you do not know what happens after because you like that girl or you like that boy or whatever, you want to get together and you're like, oh, it would be so awesome, yay, great. But what happens inside a relationship is not very pretty, because when you really get into a relationship, you have fights, right? And and those fights a lot of times unfortunately end up with a breakup, right? And when that happens, what's going to happen in your workplace or your classroom, man? Sometimes it becomes so awkward. And I've seen this happen so many times that one of them actually leaves the job, which generally happens when we are talking about professionals. And generally, the person who is going to leave the job is also the person who remains single, and the other person finds another person. Right? It's the brutal dynamics of relationships talked by Talk 4712. You must believe me, or wait until you see it in front of your eyes. The other problem of pursuing someone romantically in a workplace or a classroom, whether it be school or college, is that you just killed professionalism right there. You're not professional, man. If you want to get into a romantic domain, you cannot stay in the professional domain. It's not going to happen. This is a bigger problem if you are working professional. Now imagine working with someone next to your desk. She is, let's say, taking an example of a guy. She's having a desk right there. Now you want to go out on a date with her, right? So you are obviously talking in that manner. Now, only two things can happen, right? One, she wants to do that too. And two, she doesn't. All right. And once she doesn't, you yourself will become super awkward from the next day. And what are you going to talk about? Because you two know where you were going. You two know that, right? But now you two also know that that's not happening. And what if she goes out on a date with someone else, man? Right? Now that is why you just slaughtered professionalism over there, because you two are never going to be professional ever again. Just like you two are never going to be in a relationship. So it becomes super awkward, man. Understand what happens after. Just like, see, everything is so much related. Just like when you look at a goal that you want to accomplish, at a task that you want to do, you look only about the positives, right? And you want to pursue a person romantically and develop a relation, you only think about the positive. Oh, nice. We are going to spend time together doing, interesting stuff like going out on a date to have coffee, after that, dinner, and after that, you know what goes, right? So you only think about good things. But what if you get into a fight? What if she finds out that you are such an a hole, man? What if you find that she's completely out of her mind? And that's the thing about relationship. Like once you get into it, you understand that we kind of come into an agreement with each other's limitation. Nobody is perfect over here. And especially that's something that I've talked about a long time ago. The initial part of a relationship is highly, highly unstable, man. Because two-person, man, it is the most difficult thing to coexist. Like two different people are so different, man. They're so different. I do not know how the hell God made us all, but each and every one of us is so different. So different. You can find similarities, but even those similarities, you can find differences. And when two people have to coexist, live together like one, तो जिसमें एक jar type, then that is extremely difficult, man. Right? So there will be fluctuations, there will be like arguments and stuff like that. And if the other person is not ready to accept your limitations or compromise a little bit here and there, and then that ends up into a breakup. And then you go next day into the same office and you two are not talking. Man, I'm not saying all these stuff without first making these mistakes, by the way, if you know that I do not talk about things that I do not have experience in. I never talk about like going to the moon, man, because because I don't have experience in that. So uh so I think that it is a giant mistake. Now also, what if I'm in love with her, Ashish? What if she's in love with me? What Do you want us to stay away just because we happen to have the same job? Kind of, yeah. Kind of, that's what I'm trying to say. Hey man, this is what most people don't do. Most people do not look for anybody out of their workplace or their college. Have you ever tried that? That there's a world outside your workplace and college as well. Until unless you have never done that, don't tell me that I have found love in my workplace or my classroom. Okay? Because that's not love, man. All right? How do you know that? So whatever you need to do, you need to look outside as well. Inside is the last case scenario. Now there has been instances, obviously. I think there are more examples of people finding relationships at their workplace. They get married, they lead a good life. It's all well and good, but I still think that is not worth those moments where it's going to get super awkward. Now obviously, like I am a very open minded lad, so let me know down in the comment section what you think. I do not have much more to say in that. I think I've expressed myself well enough. Now, let's get into the next topic. Before that, I'm going to take a few sips of my coffee and get back with you. Hey man, it's not even noted down in the list of topics that I want to talk about, but I just want to talk about this. And I want to talk about a topic called skinny shaming. And it's like, well, that's nothing. There's no term like skinny shaming. There's only one term called fat shaming. Now, me and Komal talked about this topic a long time ago on Talking Fire podcast. That used to be a one thing a long time ago. We're trying to get it back very soon. So, it is a real thing. And I'm pretty sure if you look down deep in the comment section, you're going to find some of the people talking about how skinny I am. And I'm kind of used to it, to the point that I have killed that nerve of people making fun of the fact that I'm skinny. But also, as I grow older, I find a lot of people appreciate that as well, because a lot of people just want to be this skinny by the time they're 29 years old. Okay, so you look a lot younger when you're skinnier, because by default our perception is that you gain weight as you grow up. So it is lesser of a problem now that I have crossed that 25 years mark, but it really used to be an issue when I was young, like I was in teenage, because you know that as a boy, being physically strong is also a big thing. You do not want to be bullied, you do not want to be beat up, and fights and stuff does happen when you're growing up. I know people are getting more and more civilized, but we all have that monkey in us, right? So being skinny is the worst case scenario when you're very young, because when you are like early 13, 14, you're also not tall, and they're bigger guys. There are guys who are like older than you, 2 years older than you, and you're like scared all the time of not getting beat up. That's not a real problem amongst girls, I would say. Like, imagine a girl beating down another girl in a playground. No, that does not happen as much. Now, exceptions are not examples. We all know that. We have all come to an agreement with that. So I guess that's not a question. So it's a thing with the guys. But if you go to that podcast where me and Komal were talking about, girls are also like skinny shamed all the time, right? And sometimes it becomes worse than girls, worse for girls, because of the physical features, which I'm not ready to discuss right now. Maybe me and Komal is going to discuss that again one more time. But for boys, it's an issue as well. Now, I do not understand why you would say that a guy is not good looking if that guy is skinny. All right, and this is something that has not been represented as much. It's even like, I'm not going to say the term, but it is frowned upon to say the term fat, at least in United States. But it's not frowned upon to call a person you're too skinny, right? Now, especially when it comes to India, I think Bollywood has always been setting the gold standard of how a man should be looking. And let's start with Salman Khan to now Shah Rukh Khan to John Abraham to Tiger Shroff to Hrithik Roshan, and all of them are juiced out of their mind and they are so muscular, man. So when an Indian guy is not, of course, first of all, there's a giant misconnection between the beauty standards that are set by Hollywood or Bollywood compared to what you look like in real life. In real life, people do not look like that. Trust me. They did the shoot, and before that they went for a whole like weight cut. They only had like broccoli, rice and chicken breast. And a lot of times, like you see fighters doing that weight cut, that intense weight cut, a lot of times they will do that for a shoot or just few minutes of recording, because they want to look that ripped. Like you look at that guy. Who is that guy? Movie with Rock, Baywatch. Yeah, what is his name? Jack Efron. And look at his abs. You are never ever going to see a random guy walking on a beach with those kind of abs. It does not work like that. But if we compare our beauty with what we see on screens or what we see from these Instagram models these days, none of us look good. All of us are ugly. So why should we live uh, thinking that when the person that we are comparing ourselves, he or she himself themselves do not look exactly what they look like for a photo shoot, right? And I do not, honestly, for the longest time I always used to think that I'm too skinny, because that's what I've been told my entire life, man. Till the age of 18, any relative that I would ever meet would say me one thing for sure. I could even bet all my money, but then again, I did not have any money till I was 18. But I would, if I had any, that they are going to for sure say that, hey, why don't you eat? Because you are too skinny. Like, dude, I'm eating like 10 chapatis. Honestly, I was eating that much. And if you do not know, there are three different classifications of human anatomy, a human body, or how much weight we gain. There's an ectomorph, there's mesomorph, and there's endomorph. Endomorph people just can eat air and swallow up. Ectomorph can eat an entire elk and still remain the same. And mesomorph are like, they can be waking up 12 o'clock in the morning, drinking chocolate shake, and still look pretty muscular. So different people have different genetics. Genetics are a real thing, at least when it comes to physical features. And I know that anybody can change a lot. Like if I want to bulk up and as look like those Greek gods, I can do that, obviously, but I would hate myself when I was doing that, because I'll be taking the diet that I hate. And also, I'm not a professional bodybuilder, right? So why would I invest that much time? And why would you hate when I'm skinny, right? And the only reason, like I said, so many years, first of all, the relatives calling me too skinny, too skinny, too skinny, and then coming into the social media platforms and everybody saying, hey, you're too skinny. I'm going to put some of the posts over here. And it's not only an Indian thing. Like I'm on TikTok, which is not even in India, and you'll see some of the Americans, or I don't know, non-Indians saying these stuff. And I'm going to put some of the screenshots over here. And the only reason I'm discussing this is that I can only imagine how many guys and girls there are who are skinny and being told the same thing every day. And if I have to talk to them, and now, guys, if you're a little bit chubby, don't you feel alienated over here? But maybe you'll be able to, relate to your skinny friends more now. Some people just cannot gain weight, man. And to you people, I'll say that you will love this fact when you grow up and you can literally eat anything and still remain more or less in shape. But growing up, the kids are like told way too much, which will ultimately end up developing some kind of insecurity. Like I told you, right? Like when I got into the college, I was 18 years old. I was super introvert and I could not talk to any new random stranger. I could not talk to teachers. I was not able to make proper eye contact. Why is that? Because the entire life till that point, people have been telling me basically that I do not look good, right? That's what they're basically, you're too skinny. What does that mean? What the fuck does that mean? That I need to gain some weight because I do not look good right now, or at least that's what I heard. So if you listen to this again and again, and I told you I started eating like 8 chapatis, 9 chapatis, 10, which is also like wrong. That's not how you gain weight. You're not even taking care of proper nutrition or what your body really needs if you want to bulk up. Like, first of all, these uncles and aunts, they do not know what's going on scientifically, but they say these things and they just say, eat more, eat more, eat more. And all you're gaining in the best case scenario in this case would be fat. In the worst case scenario, you are gaining a lot of insecurities, man. I need to change the battery, but we're continuing this. All right, and we are back. So that's a bigger problem, that people who are telling you that they're too skinny, first of all, a lot of times they're unhealthy themselves. And second of all, they're just telling you to eat. So they do not know how scientifically you should gain some weight. Now, a full disclaimer, I completely believe that everybody should get into weight training. Especially if you're too skinny, you should definitely get into weight training, because a lot of times what I see amongst very skinny people who are also tall is that they tend to start bending down. And that's definitely not good. And don't be that one skinny guy who is having a belly. All right, that's even worse. So why I said weight training is because no matter what, you need to be fit, right? It's not like, since I'm skinny, I can eat whatever I want. And also, Ashish told me I should not care what others say. I'll just keep on eating whatever I want, and I do not even need to work out. You should work out because your joints are weak. They need to be stronger. And anybody who has crossed like 50, 60 years of age, their joint problem starts to appear, whether there's like back problem or knees or shoulders or whatever, especially when you have done anything physical. But if you have done anything physical, hopefully you have also taken care of your joints. If not, man, God help you. But in general, girls, boys, irrespective, you should start paying attention towards certain physical activity that is going to help you gain some physical strength. I'm not talking about going to the gym to change how you look. If you want to do that, good enough. But even to guys and girls, irrespective, who used to be in my art of speaking and still now who joined my art of speaking course, I tell this to be a better speaker. Because listen to me carefully. If you want to be a better speaker, your posture matters a lot. And even if you do not want to be a good speaker, let us say you go for an interview. How you're going to sit for an interview decides how much confident you are being perceived by the interviewers. And it's not like, if I want you to sit like this, like my shoulders wide, my back straight, it's not like if I just tell you, oh, shoulders wide, back straight, shoulders wide but not too wide, back straight but not like this, right? You are going to go into the interview hall and you are going to just be in the correct posture, because your correct posture comes from the physical strength. How strong your back is to keep it erect when it needs to be. If you do not have good strength on your shoulders, you are going to have a slump body. Even if you are pretending to be like that, you cannot maintain it for more than 15 minutes. Even if you are doing that, then you are exerting your body and pushing it to the point where it is not comfortable. Why do that? So even just for better representation of your ideas or being a better speaker, I tell my students to do push-ups, do crunches, so that you gain that basic level of physical strength. You need that much. Be skinny all you want, be chubby all you want, but have the physical strength. I say at least be able to run 3 kilometers. That's just basic requirement. At some point of time, human beings had to do that to stay alive. We don't need to do that anymore. Doesn't mean our body does not crave for that. Simple as that. Should we extend this any further? I did wanted to talk about a few more topics, but like I said in the beginning as well, that we'll have to continue or carry it over to the upcoming podcast. And also, your comments goes down in the comment section, and that's where you share the topics that you would like me to discuss in the upcoming solo podcast. Good guests lined up. Few of them are in martial arts profession, few of them are in education profession, research profession, photography, media profession, all over the place. And if you want something to be someone to be invited to the podcast who might represent himself or herself as a thing, which is also like I identify myself as a bottle of can, as a bottle these days. Whatever, it might be possible. But if you want, you get the point, right? Put it down in the comment section. Too much explanation. All right, guys, I'll see all of you in the next one. Also, go to the website ashishtalk.com, check out the courses that is going to help you grow further. Telephonic consultancy over there, a lot of good stuff. Check it out, don't miss out on that. Hindi podcast going on, just in case you prefer that or understand that language as well. Topics are different. And thank you for being over here. I'll see you next time. Till then, bye.